And white people don't like the browning of America. That's what they're having you believe. That's why they were upset. That's why they voted for Donald Trump, because they don't like suntan people. They don't like the brownies. To me, I think it's sexy. I like a brownie. Personally, I think it's great. Now, listen. Racism is real. But what I have found as I've gotten older, I'm not ancient. I'm 47. But racism exists broad spectrum. Racism is all over the place. People think it. They don't always speak it. But a lot of people act it. And where am I coming from on this? Where am I going with this? Well, I'm married to a Puerto Rican. And maybe to some people, that might be weird. I find it sexy once again. Well, she's black, she's Indian, she's white. It's kind of a combination of things. But I fell in love with her. And I had children. I married her. And I married her first, by the way, and had children. Very traditional, I know. It's going to freak out some people. Sorry about that. I am a traditionalist. It is kind of funny to have conversations with people when they hear about what I do for a living. They don't think that they could be friends with me when they're on the left. And they could be furthest from the truth. Because I'm very fun when I'm not talking politics. Or because their lifestyle doesn't necessarily mesh up with what is coming out of my mouth. Because maybe I sound too conservative. Now, I never apologize for that. But being conservative doesn't mean that you're not fun. As a matter of fact, I think we could have more fun as conservatives, to be quite honest with you. It's just that we have a lower threshold for BS and for lasciviousness, vile things that just are not they're not the status quo, and we don't accept them as being the status quo. And that's what really Donald Trump was the answer to. To all the things that the progressive left have been pushing on us for all these years, folks, the left pushing stuff on the media, pushing stuff in the classroom, pushing stuff in the movies, pushing stuff into our stomachs, down the hatch. If it's being angry, and if white Americans did vote for Donald Trump, which they did come out in droves, and I do have to preface that it wasn't just white people, CNN, that voted for Donald Trump. There was a hell of a lot of Cubans, a hell of a lot of Puerto Ricans, and blacks, and Jews, and Indians. But white people voted for Barack Obama in droves. What about that? Oh, shh. Don't talk about that. Oh, yeah. A lot of white people voted for Barack Obama. Now, some people said the reason that is because they believed that having a black president might perhaps make an amends for the bad things that happened to African Americans. Some would say that. Some would say that Barack's message was encouraging, optimistic, hope and change. That sounded good. It had a nice ring to it, and it did. You know, as a white American, or as the Spanish would call it, a gringo, I am very happy. I'm very happy that I voted for Donald Trump. I am, and I stand by Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is something that a lot of Americans have been wanting to be like. Maybe they didn't want to act like him in his behavior, but his success. I haven't met too many people in this country that wanted to be unsuccessful, if you know what I mean. Donald Trump is viewed for his real estate prowess, his business prowess, and on The Apprentice. A no-nonsense business guy. Guy that could get the job done. And when you hire anybody for a job, you just want somebody to get the job done, don't you? And I know a lot of people in positions, they are not ethically the most sound person I would think, or a person that I would necessarily probably have over at the dinner table. But a lot of companies hire them because they're sharp in what they do. And the company knows it, and they make money for the company. Donald Trump's going to make money for our country, and he's going to put money in our pockets. I didn't vote for Barack Obama, by the way. Just circling back to our conversation just a second ago. I didn't. I voted for John McCain. It wasn't because of the blackness. It's because of his success as a junior senator. And I know there was Bill Clinton in Arkansas and his antics, and we knew about him. Didn't vote for him. Didn't want him. But Barack Obama, he made me nervous because of the things that he said, and the characters that he hung around were so to the left. And I knew that he was going to be one of the leftist presidents because he said he was going to fundamentally, morally change the face of America. In some respects, he has. That's why the Titanic is needing to be turned around. But it's going to be a battle, folks. If you think that there's turmoil in the West Wing, there's turmoil in the United States, folks. It's not just in the West Wing. Here's Fareed. You can speak, sir.
A real sense of cultural alienation that the older, white, non-college educated Americans have, the sense that their country is changing because of immigrants, because maybe blacks are rising up to a kind of central place in society, because of gays being accorded equal rights, because of, frankly, a lot of working women. Everybody is sort of muscling in on a territory that, if you think about it, the white working man had.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think he might have a point where some people are circling in on some of those jobs when they get the visas from overseas that take American jobs. Yeah. Thank you, Barack Hussein Obama, for that. Thanks, Bill Clinton, for that. Yeah, I think we're a little concerned about that. Very concerned, as a matter of fact. Very, very unhappy about that. And here's where that conversation is important, where Mike Huckabee actually rang those bells, and here's he.
Problem is you've got globalists like Jeff Flake who are in total disarray with real conservatives. Look, conservatives want America to be strong. They're not interested in being globalist and just melting into this great big international economy. They want Americans to have good paychecks. They want to make sure that if there is free trade, which we do believe in, that it is fair trade and we're not getting sucker punched by China and by people in Europe and all over the world. They want America to be strong and unapologetic. And as far as some other issues that are truly Republican, we're a pro-life party. You got some Republicans that won't even vote to defund the biggest abortion provider in the U.S., Planned Parenthood. So it's not a problem of the president. It's a problem of some of these Republicans who don't even know what it means, and they don't understand. Why did people elect Donald Trump? Because he's enacting pro-life policies, pro-business policies. You guys have been talking about the stock market. We're approaching 22,000. Well, that sure didn't happen when Republicans were running things just in Congress and Obama was president. Give this president some credit for some extraordinary successes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all that complicated. It really doesn't. And if, politics confuse you, you're going to love this program. We don't try to really make such a huge deal out of it. We try to, and I'm not going to say use the word or the analogy of dumbing it down, but just practical conversation that's conducive to intelligence and common sense. But what we've gotten out of Washington is a lot of no returns. We've gotten nothing done, and now we have a president that is getting a lot done. Of course, the mainstream media, just like Huckabee says, is not going to sit there and tally up all the successes and all the amazing things that he's getting done. Healthcare, could that have gotten passed? That would have been wonderful. It's broken as it is. It's not a quick fix. Republicans need to stop fighting, and a lot of them need to start getting on board on the Trump train 6 months later, because it's going to be a long, rocky road unless they do. And there seems to be a possibility of some concessions being made, and there is the possibility that we might see some successes of getting this on the floor. And let them do what they do best. Legislate. Get something that it helps America. Let's get together on this one. We all need to get along at this. We really do need to get pushed on about this. But again, what people get preoccupied about is the most insane things. And I think this brings us backwards all over again. And it's sad because, again, who suffers the most is Mr. and Mrs. America. That, again, frustrate them to no end. But you knew it. That it was going to come in, that Trump was going to have some big obstacles in his own party. Look what he was up against when he was running for president. Look what he had to fight against. A lot of them that he was running against have got on board. A lot of them that he was against, I can't say that Bush is big friends and Jeb is giving him a high five. Not him. But Ted Cruz, man, he's fallen in because the guy is sensible and cares about his country. Folks, you got to care about America more than your party and your person. Principle over party. Principle. And if you can vote that way, and if you can live that way, then things would be just so much better, don't you think? Final thought on CNN's for Reed's. This guy, Zakara, Trump won because of rebellion from the white working man. Well, Zakara, maybe you're right. Maybe the white working man had enough. Maybe he was tired of the highest taxes, coming out of his paycheck because he can't afford his bills. Maybe because he can't afford the house that he wants to buy or buy off. Maybe because of the white working woman that's working 2 jobs to raise her children. Because there's no better job. Because jobs have been shifted over. Maybe they're angry and nervous and scared because the military was being depleted. Our military wasn't getting the care they deserved from the VA. Maybe because gangs and illegals were taking over, yes, large portions of the city. Illegals killing, maiming, drugging, bringing down the economy, and all of those things. Yeah, maybe we were angry. It's not so much the browning. America's been browning for a while. It's like Will Smith in Men in Black. It's raining black people in New York. There's people that come from all over America. I grew up in New Jersey and New York City, and I've seen races and faces and all different religions and all that. It never bothered me. And for a lot of America, it doesn't bother them either. I did hear the story out of the Show Me State. Did you hear? That they have this deal where they have a travel advisory now in effect for Missouri for minorities, blacks. Beware while traveling to Missouri. Because apparently there's people that don't like brownies in Missouri. Apparently. Now, I've lived outside of Cape Girardeau for a short period of time in between a radio gig. And when I was there in the early 90s for a short period of time, I didn't see any, I didn't hear any. Now, there was a lot of good old boys, just like there is in Florida. You know, there's a lot of places in America, if you're a white person, you know that there's a large concentrate of gang activity or perhaps minorities in a certain